Hello everybody, welcome to Bible Bites. I'm Dean Dwyer. It's been a long time since we've brought a Bible Bites video to you. We've been focusing on some other areas of ministry, but we have missed bringing Bible Bites to you. So we're glad to be able to restart the series, and we're going to be answering some of those questions that some Christians have in the back of their mind, probably haven't stepped forward to ask. So we're going to find our way through some of these more difficult questions and give a response based on what we believe that God would expect of us as his followers. Well, the question for today is, since politicians lie, why should I listen to them? Now, that's actually a really good question. Sadly, we would say that society has come to accept that politicians lie. And I use the word sadly because the reality is that God views lies as sin. And lying is actually a very serious matter to him. If you read the book of Proverbs and you go to chapter 6 in particular, there's a verse beginning in verse 16, and it says this: "These 6 things the Lord hates. Yes, 7 are an abomination to him: a proud look, a lying tongue, hands that shed innocent blood, a heart that devises wicked plans, feet that are swift in running to evil, a false witness who speaks lies, and one who sows discord among brethren." So we see from that passage, God hates lying. Yet, as a society, we've come to expect the lies of politicians, and most of the time we just simply laugh it off. But quite frankly, we shouldn't. Leaders should be held to account for the lies they tell, and we should be able to demand that they do better. In saying that, though, I'm sure that if each of us searched our own heart, we could cite examples where we've lied as well. So let's remember the old adage, "Ye who are without sin, cast the first stone." You know, people have a warped view of government, and that's often perpetuated by the fact that government has a warped view of itself as well. And one of Satan's grandest deceptions is that we can rest our hope for cultural morality in politicians and government officials. A person's hope for change is not to be found in any country or its ruling class. You see, we are mistaken if we believe that it is the job of a politician to defend, advance, and guard biblical truths and Christian values. Might I say that if you're looking at a politician to be an example of a moral and upright character, you are looking in the wrong direction. Believers need to remember mostly that it is not government officials who are the light of the world and the salt of the earth. That is the role of believers. What we are called to do, in accordance with the teaching of Paul in Romans 13, is to obey governing authorities, to honour, respect, and pray for them. In saying that, though, in saying all of that, we must keep in mind Acts 5:29, that if the government asks us to do something which is opposed to the clear direction and will of God, as Acts 5:29 says, we must obey God rather than men. You know, political entities are not the saviours of the world, and therefore we must acknowledge that they too have been affected by the fall, particularly if they are unsaved people. Just because we know they lie, that is not enough of a reason to deliberately ignore or disobey the legitimate directions of government. In fact, if you study the scriptures and study history itself, you will see that believers through the ages have lived and even flourished under antagonistic and repressive and deceitful and pagan governments. I think the more appropriate question is this: how can I hold politicians accountable for their words? You see, the danger in suggesting that we simply ignore those who are lying to us, particularly duly elected leaders, is that they may simply just continue their behaviour because they remain unchallenged. And so as individuals and as a community, we should demand better from those who are called to govern us. And that means insisting they remain true to their words and they find a better way to communicate to us as a community rather than relying on old political stereotypes. You know, lies are destructive. We must say that, whether it's in a church, whether it's in politics, whether it's in communities, or in a family, or in a workplace. Lies are destructive. So, therefore, we must insist our leaders do better. And we must also look at ourselves as well and reflect on the fact that sometimes we need to do better also. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.